Deafrowe with Deafrowe TV, and I'm back again with another review and coming to you with a Christmas movie that you may or may not have seen. You've probably seen the originals, but you may not have seen the sequel. And this one's going to start off with Jingle All the Way 2 Part Deuce. Anyway, and yeah, it's as you can see here by WWE Studio Production. Jingle All the Way 2. But before I get started on this review, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell if you want to see other obscure stuff that I find, Christmas and otherwise. So let's get started on this review of Jingle All the Way 2, starring none other than Larry the Cable Guy as Larry. That's his character's name in this movie. You got Santino, the wrestler, playing Claude. Brian Stefanik as Victor. Kennedy Clements playing Noel. Uh, Kirsty, or I should say, yeah, it's Kirsten. Kirsten Roback playing Trish. Maddie Finocchi playing Jeffrey, and Eric Breaker playing Welling, who's like the security guy in this movie. Anyway, the movie starts off, it is kind of strange. It's not a direct, uh, not a direct sequel to Jingle All the Way, obviously, because none of the original characters from the original movie show up in this movie whatsoever. And as you can see here later, the cave guy leaving in his trailer, and his daughter's waking him up. Say, "Hey, I'm ready to go fishing." And that's kind of what they're doing. They're going to go fishing. And basically, the story is set up where Larry is divorced from the mother, and this is his weekend with the daughter, and it's getting close to Christmas time, and he's taking her fishing pretty much. So they're ice fishing up on a lake somewhere. Not sure where. I know this is filmed in Canada. Uh, certain areas of Canada. Hold on. I do know the areas. Yes, Fort Langley, British Columbia, Canada. So there you go. So yeah, he's taking her right before he's doing all this fishing in the morning with his daughter right before he has to take her back to the mother. Do the old divorce exchange at the end of the weekend. And here's the mother, played by uh, Kirsten Roback. This is Trish, and the new stepfather, newly married couple, ex-wife and stepfather, who sees Larry as kind of like competition because he so much wants to be part of Noel's life. He wants to be the best stepfather that he could possibly be. And even though Larry doesn't have as much money as him, considering that apparently Victor here is like the owner of this huge cardboard box company. So So he has apparently infinite amounts of money to just spend willy nilly, and he kind of does so, and to impress on Noelle, and it's basically spoiler, but she doesn't really. I mean, she likes a lot of the stuff, but like she doesn't like think it's important or anything like that. There's like this awkward moment here when they try to have like a conversation. They pretty much have to kind of learn to get along, whatever. And it doesn't end. At the very first, it doesn't end very well because uh, Victor is upset that Noel is going to spend Christmas Eve with them, but Christmas Day with Larry. And he's like, no, this is the first Christmas that I'm going to be here. I kind of want here for the whole thing or whatever. And he kind of blurts us all out right in front of Noel, and it kind of burns Larry the wrong way, but also it kind of Trish kind of like jumps in on it as well. It's like, look, you can't be doing that. They say this is all part of the agreement. This is how we get along. Blah blah blah. You two are gonna have to get along and kind of agree on things anyway. And of course, you see Santino playing the character of Claude in this. He's kind of like Larry's friend, I guess you could say, co-worker slash I don't know, because they act like Larry doesn't really have a job in this movie, so you don't know really what he's doing. Anyway, let's continue. There, he's just talking about the new stepdad and the he put on like this huge light display at the mansion that they live in and everything. And Larry's like, I could do that. I'm just gonna do it with less money, and they'll do that in my trailer. That's kind of what they're setting up right here. Basically, everything's made out of like car parts, taillights, and stuff like that. And of course, when he turns it on, it just blows up, as it would, as you can see. I mean, it is kind of cool though, to be honest with you. Anyway, so yeah, that ends up. I mean, after a second here, it does blow up. That's a lot of taillights. It doesn't look like any one of those taillights are from the same car either. So they were did a lot of artwork there with the taillights. Anyway, like I said, they're competing against each other, the father and stepfather, because the stepfather wants to be the cool one. He wants to be the one that does all the fun stuff with her and everything. But he's got a business to run and everything, and he's like the owner slash CEO of that cardboard box company. He can't be around her all the time and do the things that Larry can do because he only works like part time somewhere. Uh, so they go get they go to get like a Christmas tree for the trailer because Larry's got this little tabletop tree, and Noel just like, hey, why don't we go get a real tree and put it up in here? And realizes how expensive they are, and he spots Victor across the road pulling in a truck that has a tree on the back of it that he paid $10,000 for as a donation to the town. And by the way, this movie was, like I said, Jingle All the Way 2 came out in 2014. So this thing's already 10 years old. Just find it odd. Yeah, he gets flocked here. They flock your trees, and he's like, y'all just flocked me. That's kind of funny. That's the one good thing about this. I mean, it is a pretty funny quips because you do have Larry the Cable Guy. Most of the stuff he says is just spot on funny anyway. So, I'm not saying it's a good movie. I mean, like for example, you saw there they were playing in the snow in their backyard, even though they didn't have any snow. But Victor's got enough money to afford enough snow machines to just set it up in the backyard and just let it pile up, basically. Anyway, so yeah, Trish, then and her and Victor are talking about the whole thing. It's like he's upset that Larry is still, you know, and she's trying to say like, look, this ain't all a competition. I don't know why you're going through all this mess to. So Larry, being in thinking like I said, they've been competing this whole time for her affection and all this stuff because he's the daughter, she's the daughter. Uh, when he sees that they were playing in the backyard with that, made snow with the snow machines, he decides to go up to the mountain back where they were, uh, fishing, and grab some snow, some real snow, and bring it back on a trailer. And of course, that ain't gonna work because he has Claude help him as well. Let's see if I can catch that bit. It's pretty funny. So yeah, Claude and him went and got some snow from up on the mountain here. And he's gonna like, look what I got you. I got all this real snow. And of course, this, big waterfall comes out of there as a joke. And I really don't understand how, in the budget for this movie, it was around, it's $5 million for this movie. And I'm not really sure where that money went. $5 million for this movie? I mean, I guess most of it went to paying the star actor Larry the Cable Guy, but in 2014, was he still on the uptick or down on the downshift? I'm not sure. I didn't really follow Larry the Cable Guy that closely, but I mean, if following him on if following him on X/Twitter is following him, then I guess yeah, I do follow him there. But it's not like I was there at the beginning of his career and just making sure I saw everything he did. There's only like a handful, not even like two or three movies I've seen that have him in it. Is this one, obviously. And I think the only other movie I've actually seen him in is Witless Protection, which was, it was still kind of funny. Anyway, at this point, Larry's looking for any way that he can get up on Victor, and he realizes right here his daughter gave him the letter to Santa Claus, and so he pretends like, okay, I'll go take that to the post office for you, put it in there, and you know, he doesn't put it in the mailbox like he's supposed to. He decides to look at it and see what she wants, and he's gonna be the one that gets Noelle what she wants for Christmas, and Victor ain't gonna know. And of course, Claude ain't too happy about that. He's like, you need to put that thing in there. You don't need to look at it. That's not how Christmas works. Anyway, he reads the letter, and it's kind of all the words are kind of not put together very well because she's 7 years old, I guess. And so he's having a hard time understanding what it says, and so I think the next day he goes to the toy store, and at this time, he's seen like the commercials on TV and stuff like that for Harrison the Bear, and Harrison the Bear is like the hottest selling toy at this time, and so at this point, Noelle's telling him about the Santa Claus letter and how Daddy put it in the mail for her and everything, and now Victor's kind of like, "Hey, you can tell me what you want." She's like, "No, I can't. It won't happen if I tell you." So she's under the impression if she tells anybody what she put in the Santa Claus letter that it's like making a wish. She like comparing it to making a wish. If she tells anybody what she wants from Santa Claus, then she ain't gonna get it. It's like you don't tell anybody what you wish for. Anyway, so here we are, Larry the Cable Guy, Larry. And of course, this is Matty Finocchi. Finocchi. I don't know how he's pronounced his last name. Playing Jeffrey, the store clerk, or I guess, the manager of this toy store, and he's having Jeffrey look at the letter and try to figure out exactly what she's trying to say. And the last word kind of does look like hair song, you know, and so The look on his face. He's like, he has a perfect look on his face. It's like, I'm trying to be nice, but you're getting on my nerves. uh, he pulls that face off pretty well, if that's really what he's trying to do. Anyway, so he surmises that what she's wanting is Harrison the bear, and takes Larry over there and say, look, he sold out, but you put your name on this thing, and then we'll let you know when we get more in. Because unlike the first movie, Larry's actually taking the initiative to get this toy before Christmas. I mean, with plenty of time before Christmas, like a week before Christmas, I think, and not waiting to the day of or Christmas Eve like in the original movie. But something's going down because during this whole exchange, Victor has called up his security manager for the cardboard box company, and because he knows Larry has the letter, because Noel told him, "Hey, Daddy took it to the mail." Like Victor's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did." And so Victor gets his man Welling, which is the security guy for the box company of the building, to follow Larry around, and he's kind of like watching Larry here, looking for this sold out Harrison talking bear. And so now he knows what supposedly is in that letter. And so Victor gives him the go ahead to kind of thwart Larry's plans of buying the Harrison Bear by basically getting in front of the line. Here you go, right here, and taking all the, or not taking, but buying all the bears before Larry can get there to buy any himself. So he's basically going like to all these toy stores by four within a 20 to 50-mile radius, uh, and buying up all the Harrison Bears before Larry can get his hands on one. So here's Larry here. So finally, he gets a call back from the original store he started with, because he'd been going around all the other stores that day and couldn't find the bear because they were all sold out everywhere, because the other guy, Welling, had gone around and bought them all. Well, then he finally gets a call back from Jeffrey here, and Jeffrey's telling him that, hey, we just had some come in. It's first come, first serve. We get here first thing in the morning, get you a bear. And apparently they had like 50 of them show up or whatever. And so Larry's like, yes, you're a lifesaver and all this stuff. But of course, Welling also put his name on that message uh, call sheet. So he gets the same message as Larry just did. As you can see here, he's calling Welling. Anyway, so yeah, he calls both of them, because why wouldn't you? They both put their names on there. And of course, Welling, as you can see, he's the first one at the door. And so, and how he's able to do this, I'm not quite sure. As soon as the store opens, like, he doesn't even let any of the other parents get a bear as well. He goes ahead and buys them all, and yeah, basically takes them all before any of the parents that were waiting in that line. Not just Larry, but all of them. As you can see, he's put them in the van. And Larry kind of confronts him in the parking lot, and he's like, "What's going on? This don't make no damn sense. Why are you buying all these bears?" He doesn't really give him a reason. He's like, it's a free country. I can do what I want." And ends up, anyway. Yeah, this whole exchange with these old people was kind of dumb. Anyway, he then finds a competition that's giving away to Harrison Bear, and then decides to And the competition is like, yo, you got to ride a mechanical bull for whoever rides the mechanical bull for the longest period of time, which they put antlers on it and call it mechanical reindeer, for shits and giggles. We'll get the Harrison Bear, but Larry puts like some glue on his on the back of his pants so he can stay on it longer. And he ends up winning, and when he wins, he thinks he's going to get the Harrison Bear, but the actual first place winner gets the vacation for two to Poconos. Oh, Coconos. Oh, that's weird. Poconos. He's like, what am I going to do with a trip to Poconos? To the Poconos. The second place actually gets the bear, so he's all upset about that, and he just kind of walks away with half his pants gone because the glue ripped him off when he fell off the mechanical bull. Anyway, so now he's trying to come up with another plan to get a Harrison Bear, and he sees all these. And this is kind of funny. This is kind of like a nightmare that he's having. He's walking around town, and everybody's got a Harrison Bear, and he can't seem to find one anywhere. And so, yeah, like people juggling with one and everything, and then he goes to a toy store and they get a bunch of Harrison Bears and stop, but they're like in the shape of Larry the Cable Guy, and it's saying "Get her done." Oh boy. Anyway, he wakes up and says, "I gotta get that bear." So then he's back at it, trying to go get that bear, trying to. And of course, Victor is got Welling going around, so he decides to dress up like a homeless man and sit on Santa's lap at a homeless shelter. I think, yeah, at a church, and get the Santa because he saw the Harrison Bear sitting on the pile of toys that he's giving away to the kids that are sitting on his lap, and he's like, if I can get that Harrison Bear, then I've done it. So, but at the same time, he's like, he's like, I'm not going, I shouldn't be doing this, don't steal from the poor, or especially the homeless. So in exchange, what he does, he donates 500. He donates $500. He's like this bear be worth the $500 I'm doing. So as he's walking in, he's like, I hope this 500 because he's got it in his hand. Like, look, you got to give me that Harrison Bear. And he's talking about. He's like, oh, I'm about to. I had Mexican last night, and I'm about to burst. You're gonna have to call up Roto-Rooter for backup in here and all this stuff. And so the Santa finally gives him the bear. Uh, but as he's walking outside, this kid, this supposed uh, homeless kid, and comes up to him and starts giving him this sob story about his dad being in prison, his mom not having any money, them living on the streets, and how he's always wanted a Harrison Bear and that kind of stuff. And Larry, being enamored by this story, decides to give the kid the Harrison Bear. But as soon as the kid gets the Harrison Bear, he just looks at him and says "sucker," and then runs off. So apparently, the kid was part of another Mr. Welling plan, and the kid makes him look terrible in front of a bunch of people coming out of a church, and so they decide to chase after Larry, as you can see here. So, and then that's when you finally see that the kid was being paid by Mr. Welling to basically get that Harrison Bear away from. Let's see if I can catch that a little bit there. Yeah. So the kid being smart, he's like originally only wanted $50 to get to scam him out of the bear, and he's like the kid decides to scam Mr. Welling a little bit, like it was 50 for the delivery, and I don't need another 50 for the bear. And so Mr. Welling has to give him $100 for the bear. And like I said, Victor is rich, and Mr. Welling is his security guy. I'm pretty sure he just has a credit card with a direct line of credit to Victor to go around and buy all these bears. So not exactly hard up for money. So then the local media starts to get in on it because they're hearing rumors that there's this person going around buying all these bears and making it harder and harder to find the bears, even though there's not a shortage of bears. So you can't figure out what's going on. And finally, Larry gets a call from a guy. He's like, "Hey, I got a bear for you. Just meet me here." And he's like using those voice changers to talk to him over the phone. And of course, the guy gets there and he's got like his elf uh, helper, and it ends up being Jeffrey. And apparently, Jeffrey had bought a bunch of the bears himself, and he was going to sell them at the last minute, Christmas Eve, as it is, or the day before Christmas Eve, and make a little money off of it. He's like, "You think?" And of course, things go down, and the cops show up and break the whole thing up. And Larry's trying to get one of them from the cops, and Jeffrey the whole time is like, "You realize nothing I'm doing here is illegal, right? I don't know why y'all are arresting me because I bought these. These aren't fake. I'm just blah blah whatever." Anyway, Larry tries to get one of the bears from the police officer. "Can you just give me one?" And it's like, "No, this is all got to go to evidence. Every single one of them, they have to be accounted for, whatever." So again, and I can almost guarantee that Mr. Welling had something to do with that bust. So let's keep going, keep going. So yeah, then the news comes back on, and they start, and then they're interviewing the parents at this, the people that have seen this guy that has been buying up these bears that come out of nowhere, and he buys them all for no reason. So you have the local news covering that. Anyway, so Larry realizes that it's probably Victor that's got all these bears in his warehouse. Because when the news comes out that there's this one man buying all of this, he's like, "Who has enough money to just buy up all the bears?" And he realizes, "Oh crap, it's probably Victor." And so he decides to go incognito and try to get into the warehouse. So he sets up a like a con with a box to be delivered, and of course, Victor comes by, picks up the box as part of Operation Who's Your Daddy. He just makes that up, and for some reason it works. Anyway, they're at the Mr. Welling's at the Christmas tree lighting, the $10,000 tree that Victor bought for the town. They're supposed to have a Christmas Eve lighting of the tree by Baxter Boxes, since Baxter Boxes is the company he owns. Anyway, he gets there, and you can see he finds all the Harrison bears in the warehouse, and Victor's like, "This is not what it looks like. This is exactly what it looks like." He's like, "Okay, yeah, it is." And so they kind of like fight each other for a little bit. Not like seriously, they kind of like wussy fighting. It's kind of funny. Anyway, they're trying to figure out where they are, and of course, the news reporter realizes that Mr. Welling is probably the guy that has been going around buying all the stuff because several of the parents have noticed he looked familiar. And she starts to question him, and he starts to go like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have anything to do with anything." And yeah. So now the parents have started to catch on to Mr. Welling and his evil plot to take all the bears away from this town. Weird twin sisters here with their matching outfits. Anyway, like I said, they're back in the warehouse, and they get stuck in there because as Larry was trying to escape with one of the bears in his hand, Victor grabs him from behind and pulls him back into the warehouse. And as he does that, he accidentally pulls the doorknob off the door, and they get locked into that little room in the warehouse that has no signal because they're in a metal building. So they're basically beating each other with Harrison bears inside the warehouse because they're stuck and they can't get out. So finally, I think, let's see, finally they finally sit down and start to really talk to each other like a father to a father stepfather, and they basically come to agreements like, look, we got to work together. We both equally love her. I probably love her more because I'm her father, but you obviously care enough about her to do all this, but we need to work together instead of against each other and all this stuff. It's kind of like the whole moral of the story is we probably should have been working together to begin with instead of working against each other, and I probably would have made out better of a Christmas for Noel. And that's what it's all about. So anyway, but now Victor has a problem. Is that he's got all these bears, and now the news reporter and all the people there are starting to get angry because they realize that Welling was the one that was going around buying them all, and they're trying to figure out why. And they know Welling works for Victor at Baxter Boxes, so Larry comes up with an idea. It's like, wait a minute, you got a big old box truck. We got a bunch of Harrison Bears. We got a bunch of people at a tree lighting, and we got a Christmas. We got a Santa Claus outfit, as you can see right behind Victor right here. They got an idea. And this is them. He's like, dude, it's going to take both of us to pull this one off, though. So they make their way to the tree lighting event with the truck and all the Harrison Bears in the back of the truck. And basically, he comes out the back dressed as Santa. He says, look, I got everybody in town a Harrison Bear that wants one. Come up and get one. Basically, it was my plan all along. Like he was trying to say that was, that's what he intended to do the whole time, is to buy everybody in town a Harrison Bear. That's why I set Welling out and everything. And then everybody started clapping. Mr. Welling's over there just clapping like, "Oh, it's such a good show." He's like, because he's about to get mobbed. Anyway, it gets to the point where they're actually sharing Christmas all together, all four of them in Larry's trailer right here. And she explains what the letter actually says, not Hera song, but here. It's kind of funny that the movie kind of moves the words around for you here. All right, so here we go. Christmas, I want my family together as one, not Hera song. Yeah. Cue the sappy music, and of course they're going to both wipe away some tears there. Kind of funny still. Anyway, yeah, he's like, that's funny. Anyway, that is the end of the movie. He pulls out the turkey and it's burnt, of course, and so they are all in the like, what are we gonna do? I guess we're gonna go eat out. So yep, there you go. End of the movie, 2014. Jingle All the Way 2, the sequel, or not so much of a sequel to Jingle All the Way. It is decently funny. I will give it that, but I'm not going to say this thing is anywhere near a great movie whatsoever, and it's not anywhere in no shape or form as good as the original Jingle All the Way, for sure. Jingle All the Way is probably more like a 4-star movie for me, whereas this one's probably more like a 2-star movie, about half of what Jingle All the Way was. But 2-star still puts it in not bogus, maybe decent, somewhere in there. With a 4-star for me would probably be ranging from a rad to a awesome on critic list. So yeah, and also go, like I said, go check out my ratings for these movies on Critic List. I will be posting both a percentage and a rating for Jingle All the Way and Jingle All the Way 2 on the website, and I'll leave a link in the description below so you can also go check that website out as well. Criticlist.com, great website. And I think that's going to do it for my review. But before I go, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell because I got one more Christmas movie coming up that's going to be an obscure sequel that you might not know about. You might not know about this one too. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen this movie or not. If you agree with my rating, 2-star, maybe like I'll give it a 50%, maybe 50% on Critic List, putting it right there at the decent. I mean, it's not the worst Christmas movie I've ever seen. It's not the best either. It does have its funny moments, you know, and the obvious moral of the story type moment too. Still, I mean, this is 2014, so it's not gone. It's not everything's gone weird. If you get my drift. So yeah, Jingle All the Way 2, 2014. Larry the Cable Guy, decent. Deafrowe, out.